So one thing I'm going to very quickly mention about attention, right? Attention is like currency now. It's like I think attention probably nowadays is probably more valuable than the US dollar, right? Or the euro or the pound,
Yes,
whatever,
for
right?
sure.
And some people are maybe quite modest in their approach. They're humble, and not everyone is built for getting in front of a camera and speaking or even influencing or even just being a presence of sorts, right? But unfortunately, we're in an age where the world of brand and marketing has become so big and it's become so important now that if you are not able to not just command attention, but keep the attention, then it's very, very hard for you to gain any kind of equity especially in this online
Mm,
world, because there's just so much competition.
yes.
The problem as well is that you're facing two different tiers of competition. You're dealing with a whole load of kind of what I would call kind of plankton bottom feeders, where it's a constant, excuse my language, shit show of
Yes.
low quality, low effort,
Yes.
lazy, what I would call insignificant content, which some of it will get attention because people like that kind of stuff, especially on TikTok. But still, it's almost like because there's so much saturation in at the bottom,
Hmm.
it's hard for others who may be going with more authentic um what's the word I'm looking for,
Content. Yeah.
content or
Yeah.
intentions, rather, content or
Hmm.
intentions, to stand out. And then at the same time, you're also fighting against the guys at the very top, the guys with the
Yeah.
multi-million-pound budgets, the guys with the really plush studios, and the you said it, the big PR firms and all that. I'm going to give one very famous example at the moment. The entrepreneur Emma Green. She's from the UK. She does a lot of work in America. She works with Kim Kardashian. She owns a company called Skims. Anyway, I mentioned her because recently she's been on a massive PR splurge. Right, she's obviously just paid out for some really expensive PR agents at the moment, because lately her visibility has been pretty much everywhere. She was on Oprah. She has been on
Mm,
lots of the big podcasts in the US. Like she's been on a lot of things back in the UK as well. That's just one example, but obviously, she's a multi-millionaire. She can afford to do that. Joe Blogs, in his mum's basement in somewhere in America, can't do that. So you're fighting against a lot of variables. And yes, a lot of the times, if you have the money to invest in those kind of services to bring it home here, to give an impression of perceived competence, right? You are losing out, but at the same time, you have this kind of, it's almost like a seesaw. It's like a really bad seesaw. It's almost like a broken seesaw to an extent. But also then there's volume. So the only way really I personally think, in order to kind of keep and gain and at least hold on to some kind of attention, even though the process now for, you know, building a brand is definitely a lot longer than it used to be, is an element of just being authentic,
hmm.
understanding who you are, understanding what your lane is, what you do, being somewhat true to yourself. You don't necessarily need to play a particular role, but then at the same time, if someone, another human person, doesn't matter if it's through a camera or if you meet them in real life, and say if I shook your hand, for example, they still want to feel that human interaction. They still want to feel and see and smell and taste and hear from another human on the other end of the screen. And this is where, especially where the world of AI, things get a little bit distorted. So you don't know whether, if you're replying to someone, if you're replying to an AI chatbot or not, or whether you're getting a real feel of the person's personality. So lots of variables, lots of variables. But again, that's again another long-winded way of me basically saying that there are two ways of looking at that. But if you want to be perceived as competent, the only way to actually be perceived as competent is actually be competent.
Yes. So essentially, what I hear you say is both are important.
Yes.
So both are important. And if you're actually not competent, but you are perceived as competent because of all the PR and all the stuff, right? Then do people initially do come to you, and but when your services don't match up to what they're expecting based on the visibility and credibility and all that, the perceived one, right? Then they go away and they never come back and they give you a bad review, and then nobody else will come to you. So, but yes, you could be the biggest specialist out there. If you're not visible, nobody can find you. So both are important. Now,
Mm.